tasks are getting missed, deadlines are delayed, and it's like when a team member makes a mistake, they don't even take responsibility. What is going on? And every day, team leaders and business owners come to me asking, is it just me or like, does nobody care anymore? This sentiment that our team members don't really care, that they're just kind of drudging along, this is something that a lot of us are feeling right now. So that's what I want to unpack today. I'm Lia Garvin, and this is the new Manager Playbook, where we dive into the ins and outs of managing people, because dealing with people is hard enough. So I am here to make managing your team the easiest part of your job. And with that, I wanted to share my new resource, which is a toolkit for how to really blend AI with your leadership skills. You know, I've been talking about AI a lot on our show because this is like the number one issue that the workforce is being faced with. So I put together a toolkit with 10 different ways you can apply AI to the leadership skills that you're using, really derived from the new Manager Playbook book and my book, The Unstoppable Team, to make sure you really have that concrete understanding about how to help AI complement your work instead of replace you. So you're not going to want to miss this one. This is at liagarvin.com/toolkit. Now, where is this, employees just don't care anymore, no one gives a shit kind of sentiment coming from? Now, I want to talk about two things that are really important so that we can face this challenge. First is the perception itself. Okay, whenever we're dealing with team challenges, I like to say it's two-pronged. There's always a perception issue and then there's an experience issue. And both of them can inform the other. But the perception one we always want to address first, because that one informs, well, what actual actions do we need to take to change the experience? And the perception starts with us. If we are showing up every day thinking already, nobody cares, everyone sucks, I don't have the right team, and all of these things, we are showing up with a negative confirmation bias where we will be looking for reasons that everyone is not doing their job, that everyone sucks. I am telling you, this is something that has been scientifically proven, right? It's not just quantum physics, which I love talking about, but this is when we focus on something, we begin to see more of that. Right? It's like when you get the red car and now all you see is red cars or whatever, right? This is a function of human and how our brains work. When we focus on something, we see more of that. We create more of it. We manifest more of that. We create more of that in our lives. If we are believing our team members suck and no one cares and everybody's slacking on their jobs and we believe all these things and we're thinking that all the time, we are programming our mind to look for those things and be like, yes, I knew it. I knew they didn't care. I knew they were into that. So this actually starts with us. If there are genuine things that are happening on your team, things that are getting missed, mistakes that are being made, those things we should address through setting expectations. We'll talk about that in a second. But the perception in showing up every day at work and thinking, this team sucks and all this, that is going to make the situation worse. And if you are sitting here feeling like, I don't know if I have the right people, all these things, it's a moment to self-manage and think about, well, what is the reality of the situation? There have been deadlines missed. There have been mistakes made and folks didn't take responsibility. This is an opportunity to reset expectations, to give feedback and actually do performance management. And then I see who's left, people that are actually need a little bit of course correction or people that actually aren't a fit and don't need to be on the team. That is the leadership skill, right? Is the performance management. Not the just saying like, I have the worst team ever, right? That's not a leadership skill, okay? It's general like humans to kind of complain about stuff, but like getting stuck in that victim cycle that everything's happening to us, that's not a leadership skill either. So what we do when we have this feeling like, God, I just don't feel like people care, we go back and we set expectations. Let's say, it's funny, 2 business owners came to me last week and said, like, am I wrong here? Because a team member messed something up and they didn't take any responsibility for it. And I sat down with them and I read through the email. One was on Slack, one was an email. And I was like, no, you were right. Like they legitimately took no responsibility. They said it was your fault for not having training. It was your fault for not having SOPs. They just went like full on like, nope, washing my hands of this. Now, that is not a good sign. I'm going to be real honest that person's a long-term fit. So I'm just going to put that out there. But let's say you say, hey, I think there's potential with this person. I want to have the conversation. We always want to give a person a chance first. This is an opportunity to say, hey, when you recognize something that was getting in the way of doing your job, it's my expectation that you flag it before you miss a deadline or before something happens, because that's part of you doing your job effectively. I can only fix something if I'm aware of it. So if you realize you need more training or you need a process or you need more budget or resources, you got to let me know well before it becomes an issue. That expectation setting and seeing what their response is going to really tell you if that person cares. If the person says, Yeah, you're right. Like there were a few opportunities I could have said something and I kind of thought I could muscle through it, but then in the end I realized I really wasn't able to. Okay, they're taking some responsibility. If they say, yeah, like, okay, I guess, then they're not. Okay. And that's where you can start to tell. Not really, we can't totally tell from the mistake itself, even when someone doesn't take responsibility off the bat. It sure is frustrating. It's not mature behavior to not take responsibility, but you want to set the expectations so that you can see, okay, is this thing salvageable? Now, after you've set the expectations, you can give feedback on that and say, hey, we missed another deadline and you didn't say anything. Like we were really clear about that. Now you're getting that performance management of giving the feedback, setting expectations, and saying, well, what do you want to see from here? The feeling of like people don't care, if you come at it, bringing this confirmation bias, looking for problems, and then never talking to your team about it, and then wanting to fire everyone and start over, that is not a way to actually show up as a leader and how to actually get to the outcome you want, which is that people do take responsibility and they fix that stuff. Because it is a nightmare having to rehire your whole team. Like, no way does anyone want to do that. Let's say worst case, you realize you need to get rid of like 90% of your team and you have like 2 people that are great. That sort of situation is not good for the 2 high performers. They will probably leave because they see like, what the hell is going on with this team where we lost like 8 out of 10 people and I'm carrying the weight right while you hire people. The ideal is that people are here wanting to do a good job and they just need to be given the feedback. That's the ideal. And again, in the cases where someone doesn't take the feedback, that's a different conversation, right? Around a performance plan and whatever else. So that's first. Now, the second piece of what could be sort of surfacing people not to demonstrate like they're really bought in is the reality that money is tight right now. In big companies, a lot of companies aren't offering the raises or the bonuses, promotions that they were offering at the rate that they were before. It might have recently changed in the last few months or even year. And people are saying, well, I'm doing the same amount of work and I don't have that certainty that XYZ is going to give me a promotion, which is going to get me paid more. I don't have that certainty that these things are going to get me that raise or that bonus. Do I really need to keep busting my ass for that? That is a question that your team members is running through their head. That is the reality of the times right now. So if you're a corporate manager or you don't have direct control over someone's salary, or you have some control, but you don't have a ton of wiggle room in there, the answer is not to just throw up your hands and say, well, budgets are tight, I don't have control over it. Like, go talk to HR. It's to start to talk about that person's career goals and how there are other ways to create an incentivizing career, even with things that are out, like when there's a lot out of your control. For example, if someone has been wanting to, move towards a promotion, maybe you could talk about a plan of getting them more visibility with stakeholders, having them show more leadership, do different activities and projects so that when promotions open up more, they are ready, they are set up. Maybe you talk about, hey, how do we start building your skills up in this capacity, right? So that you feel like you're really growing in this role, even if it's setting you up for a role that you take in the future, right? And this is the importance of career conversations, and why I talk about them in the New Manager Playbook book is because we have to be having these. A lot of times managers think, well, I'm having a performance review, I'm having one-on-ones, I don't really need career conversations. This is where you understand what motivates someone so that you can create a plan for getting there. And that has value for us in and of itself. Got to be having those. And if you aren't sure what to do, check out the book because it spells out and gives a template for how to have those. Now, if you are in control of the salary, if you're a business owner or you're in a company where you can have direct, effect on someone's compensation, you got to understand that when people are at the low end of the range, they know it. And we don't show up our best when we're at the lowest end of the range. And one other thing you got to understand is every single person in every single job always feels like they're getting underpaid. Like 99.9%, I said not to talk in absolutes, 99% of people think they're being underpaid, they're moving too slowly, and they deserve more. That's the reality. So now with that said, how are you getting someone engaged and excited about the work when they feel like they have like a bad deal? Well, you can talk about what goes into compensation and how it's evaluated. You can talk about what paths are for progression and promotion, right? When bonuses are available. You can talk about, having a collaborative incentive of a profit share. So when we hit this certain goal, then we give bonuses. These are all things that I talk about with business owner clients, right? Through my ops playbook. This is what we set up when we talk about how to match priorities, expectations, and performance so that people really see their path to growth. If your team members feel like, well, like I'm not getting paid that well, I'm just like, this business owner is getting rich off my back, which is what a lot of people think because they don't understand the cost of running a business. That is on you to really help break down and make clear. And if you are trying to pay people as little as possible, you got to realize you get what you pay for. You always get what you pay for. It makes paying people a little bit more, showing them, hey, I really value you. Maybe paying them a lot a bit more because they're doing an amazing job. This will always pay off. Paying your high performers as best you can, that's going to pay off. We don't want to try to get a bargain when it comes to our talent. And so if you're feeling like your team members aren't really caring, there probably is something in there around them not feeling valued. Now, I know, again, we're not saying and giving out participation awards and that people should get a raise every day just for doing their job, but we want to make sure people feel like there is a path to growth, that they're being valued, that they're being well compensated, and that they have, that there's something in it for them. So whatever that looks like. And again, I work a lot with leaders on this because it's going to look different for every company, every team, every kind of industry. But that is a really clear, surefire way to re-engage people, to get them excited about the work, to get them to care, right? To give a shit, right? This is this feeling of, why is this happening? Well, we are going to feel, if we're feeling underpaid, we're going to be like, well, should I really care a lot? Like, I have a new client that has a thriving business and she has a really small team. And one of her key team members has been with her over a decade. And she compensates this person so well. I have never seen someone compensated so well for the kind of role she has. But the business owner said, well, she's the backbone of this company. I want her to know how valuable she is. And I said, gosh, I wish every single leader thought that way. Because what happens a lot of time is we're struggling, we're trying to make our numbers, we're trying to hit profitability. And so we start cutting with our people and then they don't feel loyal to us. They don't care. So if you have any room, you got to pay your good people as best you can. You have to, because you are going to incur that cost anyway in rehiring and retraining and onboarding, which is the most expensive business can occur. So there we have it. When we're feeling like, do people even care what's going on? No one's taking responsibility. This is an opportunity to shake off the confirmation bias, looking for proof that no one cares. Got to let it go. Then we set expectations, give feedback. We actually exercise performance management and see okay, was there just a gap and the person does care? And then we get really, really clear on recognition through career goals, career conversations, and through compensation if it's available, through opportunities, growth potential. All of these things have value. But when people we've got to believe, okay, I believe your team members don't just show up because they don't care and they don't want to be there. Let's give them more the benefit of the doubt that there is a way to find that connection for every single person. I really do believe that, no matter what the job is. And when we find that, we can start to create that hook of investment and alignment and buy-in. But it's not just because they're lucky to have a job. That's not doing it for people, right? So we have to do these things. And when we do these things, we start to see that engagement shift. Okay. So before you leave, if you have not downloaded that toolkit, head to liagarvin.com/toolkit. It is ways to incorporate AI into being a leader, because you still got to have hard conversations. You still got to be given this feedback. You have to be using your critical thinking. And there are ways to utilize tools when it makes sense. So grab that toolkit. And if you're struggling with this, let me know, because this is something that a lot of us are seeing. I'm getting the question every single day, why is no one caring right now? Why is no one taking responsibility? And it may be nuanced in your team. And by looking at a couple factors, I can figure out right away what it is and what to tune. So don't be a stranger. All right. See you next time.